So in today's show, we're going to talk about transitioning into a brand new environment and how we can control it better so we're not feeling overwhelmed. Welcome to the Rise to Thrive show. I'm your host, James Boardman. If you are coming through, please do let me know in the comments. Please do drop a like. Please do share with someone that you know. And let me know that we're interacting within the community. How are we doing? So I think I'm about to get absolutely peed on. Stormy clouds ahead. So listen, how are we doing? Hope you're good. Friday. Hope you're looking forward to the weekend. I thought this would be quite a good subject to talk about. And I'm going to give you an example. Now, when I very first joined the Royal Marines, I had to leave after about the first 7 weeks in training, and I had to wait like 4 months before I was allowed to go back to training. And on both occasions when I went back, you go into this block called the foundation block. Now in that foundation block is like 60 beds. It's like this huge room, very military. You get a locker and a bed. And when you go in, it's very daunting, and there's like 60 guys that you've never met, all like spouting off shit and chatting and trying to get to know each other, and who's the alpha and like who is top dog. Like honestly, sitting there watching it and remembering it now was quite an experience. And the feeling of the shock of capture was huge. It was overwhelming. And I remember going back on the second time, and I remember just crying uncontrollably for 48 hours. I was on the phone to my partner, I was on the phone to my mum, I was on the phone to friends, and I was going, I don't know if I've done the right thing here. And I remember sitting just before you give your oath, and as soon as you give that oath, that's you for 3.5 years, right? That's you tied in. And I was like, oh my God. And he was saying, is there anybody before they do this that doesn't want to be here? And I remember being on the cusp of standing up and saying, I don't want to be here. Like literally on the cusp. If I had more courage, I would have done it. And it's insane to think that one split second could have changed the whole direction of my life. Literally being in that place. If I put my hand up, who knows where my life would have gone. But I managed to bat it out, and I managed to adapt and transition back into that environment. And it was very much that shock of capture. And very much away from the military for many people, we transition into different environments, right? And it doesn't even necessarily have to be an environment such as an office, such as a new home, such as a new area that you're living. But it can be a transition in terms of the way that you are now thinking, are now acting. Maybe if you're making changes, you're transitioning into a new way of thinking. So that environment might be your own mindset. It might be your emotional state. It might be your physical state. And it's very much so. So if you think about the guys on my 28-day program, they are transitioning into new environments, i.e. new ways of thinking, i.e. new ways of executing their work, their health, their relationships, their attention to detail, their businesses. And I think when we go through that transition, we constantly are trying to reassure ourselves that we're doing the right thing. We are constantly trying not to overthink the situation. We're constantly trying not to think worst case scenario. We're constantly trying to think, are we good enough for this environment? And we question ourselves. So I think when it comes to transitioning to a brand new environment, there's a couple of things we have to bear in mind. And one of those things is, number one, it takes time. Transitioning into anything, a different stage of your life, a new environment, a new job, a new relationship, a new training regime. We have to kind of get used to it. So we have to allow ourselves to be able to fail here and there along the way, right? We have to understand the procedures, the systems, the models. We have to understand that actually we're not going to flow straight into this, right? If you think about anyone who goes from one football club to another football club, there's a transition period. Often when players join a Premier League football team, it takes them almost a year to transition into that environment of the Premier League because it's so fast-paced. So we have to allow ourselves time, and we have to allow ourselves to understand that we may fail. Other areas that we have to consider is that, like, it's not always going to go the way that we visualize it's going to go. So we may well go into a new job, we may well start a brand new business, and we might start a brand new training regime, but we might not lose weight as quick as we think we want to. We might not get to grips with a job as quickly as we want to. You might not earn as much money as you think you want to straight away in that business. And that transitioning through that new environment is understanding that actually it's not always going to go the way you want to. And that's why having that adapt and overcome mentality allows you to just keep picking yourself up and go again. Pick yourself up and go again and learn. And it all comes together. I feel the problem is that as soon as it doesn't go the way we want to, that's when we start becoming glum. That's when we start feeling a little bit depressed. That's when we put ourselves in a negative state in our mind. And actually we don't fulfill what we really need to fulfill or do what we need to do because we're too busy feeling sorry for ourselves. Okay, we're too busy not achieving the things that we quite visualize. So I think we need to implement some patience when we transition from one environment to another, whether it's our mindset, emotional or physical, i.e. being in a different job or relationships, or whether you're trying to change, and not letting the whole situation get on top of you. Okay, I want you to have a think about environments that you've transitioned from, maybe that haven't been so successful, maybe that have been successful, maybe you've gone through a course or a program, maybe you've changed jobs or relationships. I'd love for you to share, for each of you to read each other's in the comments below, because I promise you this part of this community here is picking up things from other people and being able to relate to other people so that you realize you're not the only one in that position. I hope that helps. Listen, if you're on the 5-day challenge next week, I will see you next week for some evening coaching and challenges. Okay, if you're not on it yet, you still can join it. There's a link above here. Okay, we get really going this weekend and into next week. We're packed full of content and value, all for free. You just got to be able to show the fuck up and meet me halfway.